Hello，我们多点问。Hello，anybody can hear me？还没有结束，结束进入还没上路呢。啊，sure，他说的 sure 吗？OK，thank you。 Hey, Yendo, can you hear me? Hey, Yendo. Hey, hello. Hey, Yendo, can you hear me?
Yes. Okay. So let's wait for maybe 1 more minute, then we can get started.
Okay.
Yeah. You can share your screen. That's fine.
Okay.
So before the HRD review, I have 2 quick updates from the community. So the first one is about the 2023-05 release. I just a reminder, by this Friday, which is June 15, June 16, we will do the final cutoff. So after the cutoff, only bug fix can be, included. So there will be no feature cherry pick. This has been communicated to the community several weeks ago. So I just want to, remind the community. That's the first one. The second one is about the 2023-11 release. So we are still open for, to submit more candidate features. If you have proposal, just let me know or directly update the 2023-11 project wiki. So that's the 2 things from my side. Okay. Oh, sorry, I think there is the third one is about the coming OCP summit. So the OCP summit will be hosted this October in San Jose. If you want to join, I think this week is the final week. So June 16th is the deadline for the for the submission. Okay, that's the 3 things on my side. With that, I will hand over this to Xiang Hong. So please go ahead.
Okay. Yes, Xiang Hong is next. Yes, Xiang Hong is next to me. Okay. Hi, hello guys. Good morning. Good afternoon and good evening. Okay, thanks. I'm Xiaodong from SONiC, and next to me is my colleague Xiang Hong. Let me show my screen first. Oh, okay. Could you see my screen?
Yes. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Thanks for everyone attending this review meeting. I'm excited to introduce the QAppLite feature to you today. We have already uploaded this document to the community in PR 1320. And if you have any questions during this meeting, please feel free to interrupt me at any time. And we are glad to answer your all questions. Now let's travel into this high level of the QAppLite feature. Before we do that, I would like to explain why we do this feature in SONiC. The latency and the packet loss rate impose higher requirements on network performance. Various manufacturers also provide performance measurement tools to help operators to improve network performance and solve network performance problems in a timely manner. But it's a challenge to be deployed unified in the network where different vendors' devices are deployed. The standardization tools such as PIN and traceroutes are used to detect link state between hosts. Okay, the QAppLite defined by IP performance measurement working group. It's a standard performance measurement protocol applied to IP networks as described in RFC 50 357. It provides a unified measurement model and unified test packet format. It can monitor the latency, jitter, and packet loss rate. Here, this picture. This is the model of QApplet described in RFC 5357. From this picture, you can see the QApplet test packet interact between controller and the responder. By carrying timestamp in the packet including time T0, T1, and T2. Then the latency and jitter and the packet loss can be calculated by using the following algorithm. Now, for this feature, we will implement the functional requirements in two phases. In phase one, for session sender, both on-demand and proactive measurement are supported, and both start and stop sending packets are supported. For session client, accurate and maintaining the performance measurement dates. For session reflector, support to reflect QApp test packet to the sender. Also, for the QApp test packet, should be support configure source port L4 source port destination IP L4 destination port and DSCP TTL timestamp format pending in the test package. We will support the following requirements in the later phase. For configuration and management, need to private configure and show command lines. In the for the scalability, for the hardware have the max session number by ASIC, and we will not limited for software mode. This default values is for the test package. At this time, one restartability is not factored into this design. That should be revisited as a later phase enhancement. Okay, let's start the architectural design chapter. In this system architecture shows two solutions for QApplet feature. Architecture consider both hardware and solution and software solutions, with the main difference is the generating, transmitting, and calculation of test packets based on hardware or software. In case of the chip supports QApplet feature, the hardware solution provides more precise measurement results. If not, the software solution can be chosen for QApplet. The hardware solution is described in orange block on the left, and the software solution is described in green block on the right. Firstly, let's introduce you the hardware solution. For the hardware solution, we make some changes. In database, we add a new TWABLite table. It saves the TWABLite session information. In config.db, it saves configuration of TWABLite session. In state.db, it saves a session state per session. In counter.db, it saves performance measurement date. Also, we add some command-lines provide a friendly way to configure. In switch SS container, we add a new TWAB org. It can subscribe to the TWABLite and process the TWAB session message. Also, in SONiC container, we need the support of site API. Okay, now we can use an example to show the configuration and the process flow of the hardware solution. Now let's look at the blown errors here. Through the command line, the configuration of TWABLite session can be written to the TWABLite table of config.db. To switch SS container, TWAB org subscribes the TWABLite table and responds the configuration processing. To SONiC container, it will pass the set attributes and call ASIC API, offload the TWABLite session to ASIC. Here, the configuration is done, and the chip will start to work. For session sender, ASIC will generate a test request package and send them out. At the same time, it will receive test package and calculate the performance measurement date. For reflector, after receiving the test request package, ASIC will reflect test package to sender. Okay, let's look at the brown errors. It's the process of data reporting and recording to the counter-DB. Okay, ASIC driver will return the performance data to SONiC container through the callback function of sign, and SONiC will write them to counter-DB. Okay, that's all for hardware solution. Now, let's take a look at the source solution in the green block.
So one question before we go. Today's counters, I think, used flex search, and then they are populated using polling mechanism. Now this looks to be different, where we will have the callback from the SI and then populate the counters DB, correct?
Okay, and it's a good question. It's depends on the ASIC.
No, in the hardware-based mechanism, I see that the counter DB is updated in a different fashion from what other counters exist today. Today, all the counters are polled using the flex counter, and then they are updated into the counters DB. But this is a different way where you proposed, where you will have callback from the ASIC driver, and then SI will update the callback to SINCD, and SINCD will populate the counters DB, correct?
Okay, do you mean that running the polling in the SINCD and get the status from Asika. Is that your main?
No, no, no. What I'm trying to differentiate is how counters work today. All the counters like port counters, riff counters, etc. we have today. So we have a mechanism called flex counters, which when we configure, we'll configure at what rate we need to poll, and then we update the counter DB. So this is how counters work. Now, nothing is like a callback, but now you do introduce a new counter which operates as a callback, correct?
So hello, sir. Your question is how we get the measurement data from the hardware. Is that your question? The method you mean the polling or by notification? Is that your question?
Yeah, I believe it's by notification is what you meant, correct?
Yeah, yes, right. Indeed, we use the notification to get all
So
this.
how do you control the frequency of the notification?
有周期吗？
So today's counters get updated at specific intervals based on what configurations we have in the flex counter DB.
We have run a timer, then it periodically to get the notification. We have just run a timer.
But at this SI, you said it's like a callback, right? So you run the timer at the SI, or where do you run the timer?
You mean the accuracy of the timer?
No, no, no. I'm trying to understand at what intervals does the counter DB gets updated, and is it configurable?
是可以配置的吧？ Yes, we can configure this interval.
Okay.
I think we have a next chapter to explain the parameters we support. We can explain how we can configure this notification interval, I think.
Okay. Okay, fine.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's continue.
Okay, let's go on, continue. Now let's take a look at the software solution in the green block. For the software solution, we add the TWAB org container and run a TWAB-D process in this container. TWAB-D will subscribe to TWAB lighter table. Compared with the hardware solution, the software solution is to complete the test packet generating and transmitting and computing in TWAB container. For example, when command lines configure the TWAB lighter to configure DB, TWAB-D will process this event. It will create a process for TWAB lighter session. In the session process, it will create several threads. In the transmitting thread, here mark TX. It will generate test packets and send them out by Linux sockets. And in the receiving thread, here mark it IX. It will receive the test packet from sockets and pass the test package. The session process will calculate the performance measurement data and write them to CounterDB. That's all for the two solutions. Any questions?
How are you offloading the TWAM session to the hardware? Don't we use the application DB for that uploading purpose here?
Firstly, all session configuration can be done from the command lines. Second, we want the TWAB model to remain independent, so we don't use the AppDB.
No, no, I think the question is how do you determine whether it's a hardware or the software solution that you need to do? You have two solutions, hardware or software. Where do you determine that whether the configuration should take the hardware solution or the software solution?
Okay. For the switch access container in system initialize, it will querying the hardware capability, and when configure the session, the TFAUC will check the capability, whether the session
Okay.
if to. Okay.
Okay. Can you mention that also in the HLD if not mentioned? So that's one thing. And second question is regarding the software solution. Since it uses the host interfaces, do you have the COP configured for it? Because unlike hardware, the software needs the control of policy, right? So
okay, let me think.
yeah, so you need to have a COP configure for it.
There's no plan to support the host interface.
Yeah, and for receiving this package, so you also need to have the appropriate host interface trap entries. So are those defined in SI, or how is it? Is it like IP2me entries? How are they getting categorized? If you can explain that flow, that would also be good.
So do you mean how we calculate the measurement data in software?
No. When you mean by a software based processing, this packet needs to be lifted to the host CPU and by a rule in the hardware. So how is this rule configured? Through which host interface trap? So if you see, there are list of host interface trap like I2P, IP2me or ARP, etc. So how are these packets categorized?
Yes, the package will up to CPU using the host interface.
Yeah, but what trap is used there? Do you introduce a new trap for this protocol, or do you use any one of the existing traps?
There will be a new trap.
New trap. Okay, can you please explain those sections?
Sorry, gentlemen. I think the software method is in our next phase development schedule. So should we discuss it later after we finish the hardware solution? Also, let us finish the command line design, also the measurement data. So should we just
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
please
you for
proceed then.
understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Any questions? Okay. Let's jump to the high-level design chapter. Here, the DB storage format is described here. CLI command line writes the TF table in configure DB, and TF will subscribe it. Here using the session name as the key, including the TF session attributes. All session running states are recorded in state DB. The session name is a key. Finally, the counter DB records the performance states for per sessions per state cycle. Now let's Let's jump to the flow diagrams. Below diagrams show the flow for the hardware solution. First, below the diagrams show the flow for switch org querying ASIC capability in the system initialization. Switch org will query call the queries API get the ASIC ability and save the capability to a state DB here. And this is the flow of creating session sender or session refresher. It's just mentioned in the previous architecture design. So let's look at this flow. This is the process of removing session. When DevOps check that the session exists, it will call site API to perform. Now, this diagram shows the flow of starting and stopping the session sender. DevOps will set the site attribute session enable transmitting state by calling site API. And the last picture is shows the flow of notifying the session's running state and the measurement date. SYNCD will write the session state to state DB and write the performance measure data to count DB. Any questions about the?
Okay, one question is right. Once the state DB is being set, who's the other consumers of this? After the state DB is set, what are the actions that would happen?
For the state DB, it records the session running state. If you want to see the session state, you can use the shoe command line to get the session state from the state DB.
Okay.
Yes. Does that answer your question?
Are there other routing protocols or something others also any actions that would be taken based if say let's say the session state is down or so if it becomes inactive? Is there any other protocols or anything, any other configuration that would any other actions that we take, or just for monitoring purpose today? Somebody has to poll the state DBs to see whether the state is down or not. Is the current proposal saying that? So what's the user's workflow? What does the user do, right? Do they periodically look at the state DB to see this session state, or is there something else?
You mean the session state? You mean the sessions? How we write the session status into the state DB? Is that your question?
No. After state DB, right? This is say let's say SYNCD populates the state DB. Are there any listeners for this event?
The TWAP model to remain independent. So it's the state DB is only to show the session state, so session running state.
Okay, yeah, fine.
Can you write a show command to show the state DB information? I don't see show command, right? It's only the configuration that you're doing from CLI, right?
Okay, I will show the command line in the command line character. Just show the command line session. Let's discuss later. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Let's go on. Here we here is the site API. We will two files are involved here. First, for the site switch, we will add two attributes. One is for notification callback function pass the after, and the second is the for ASIC capability. And site tuple, we will discuss this site at size review meeting. So let's jump to the next chapter. Here is the configure describes the command lines. First of all, I will show you the configuration parameters through 3 pictures. Currently, there are 2 methods to send the test package. One is the packet count mode, and the other is the continuous mode. In packet count mode, the system provides command lines to set packet counter and status interval. With a detect cycle, the system supports more specified parameters such as transmission interval and timeout. Benefits from waiting time, it's effectively prevents the detection results deviation caused by the network delays. In a continuous model, the system will continuously sending test packets for other parameters are the same as those in packet count mode.
I just have a comments here. As my colleague explained, the TWAP works by the exchanging test packets between the 2 endpoints at a regular interval, and which we define this interval as a statistic interval. And then each statistic interval is divided into more small time slots. We can see the flow chart. We noted 1, 2, 3, 4, and we can see the numbers. Then system support to set a transmission interval. We note the TX interval and the timeout time. All the parameters, the statistic interval, TX interval, and timeout time, we have a related command line to configure. Okay. I think I remember there's a question about the frequency of the notification message. So you can see at the end of each statistic interval, the hardware will send a notification to the syncd container. So that is the interval, and the frequency we are open to configure by the command line. Okay.
Okay. Let's go on. Here is here we add the command configuration comments and show comments. For the configuration comments, we will add this for create a session sender with a packet count mode and create a session with continuous mode. Yes, this is true. And these two command lines, it's used to start the session sender and the stop the session sender. It will be start or stop the session. And this is a command is used to create the session sender, a session reflector. And this is a remove type session. Also, we add show comments. We use show comments can display the session sender reflector state like this, and show the TWAB session latency and ginger. Like they will display the session sessions latency and ginger, include the average, mean, and max. Also, we can use the show comments display the packet rows like this. It will be calculate the packet loss by transmit packet count and receive packet count. Any question about this command lines? Shall we go on? Okay. For unified unified SONiC configuration, we have designed the SONiC yarn for TWAB light feature. Like this, the yarn leaf is reference the side. We can configure this by command lines. Now, any question? Okay, let's go on. We will use a unit test case to cover the correctness of command lines, functionality, scaling, and sub API. For the command lines, we will verify the command lines to create a session sender with different models, such as including the packet counter and the continuous mode. Verify the command lines to create TWAB light session and for sender and reflector. Another way will verify the start and stop of the TWAB light session. And also to verify the show command to session state and status. For the functionality, we will verify the TWAB test formats of the package are correct, and for the sender performance, packet count measurement and continuous amendment modes. And verify the sender collects the and save the measurement states. For the TWAP reflector, it will receive and reply the test packet to send its credit. For the scaling, verify the running max number in TWAP light session or for TWAP light session in ASIC. For the side API, we will also verify. Oh, okay. That's all for the TWAP light HLD documents.
So few
and-
more questions, right? Is this feature compiled by default in SONiC, or do you have any compilation flags? Because I believe this is like a measurement feature and not everyone need to have it. So it should be enabled by compilation. So could you please make sure that you enable compile this feature only when the feature flag is set?
Your question is about the compatibilities with other vendors?
No. My question is whether the feature is compiled by default in SONiC, like it is included in SONiC by default, or do you have an option to specify include this feature or not?
Yes, we want to set it a default of incomplete. Implied.
I believe by default this should not be included. Only when we have an include feature flag, this should be included. I don't think we need this by default on every vendor and every environment, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh yes, I know what you mean. Yeah, maybe we will discuss this.
So please make sure the feature is not included by default. For example, we have include sflow equal to y or some other feature flags. Only when you include them, that feature will be compiled with the SONiC image. By default, we do not want this to be included by default.
Okay,
I think it can be controlled by a compiler flag.
Yes, that's what my question is. If that's the case, please mention in the HLD what's going to be the compilation time flag.
Okay,
And
thank you.
and I don't see any details of the related to COP and the host interface trap that will be used if you are going for the software solution. Can you please update that?
Okay, that's a good question. For the software solution, we have will improve it in later phases, and in the later phases, we will be discussing details for every stage, such as
Okay. In that case, please mention that software solution will be covered in phase 2, and we can have a separate HLD covering.
Yeah, can
So
we have a
okay.
user control to choose whether
Okay,
it's hardware
yes,
solution
yes.
or software solution?
Okay, yes, we will try to the case to cover the all including the hardware solution and the software solution.
Hey, so that's in the one cat. May I add you as a reviewer for this HRD?
No, Yan Zhao. I think I can ask someone else in the community. Yeah,
Okay.
I can give.
Yeah, we need a reviewer.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, can we have a user control to choose whether hardware solution or software solution? I think you are based on the hardware capability you are choosing internally. I want a user control on it, because if it's a software solution, you don't need a container, right? The TWAM container won't be created, correct? If you don't need a software solution, correct? If you don't need a software, yeah.
Yes, we will be suggest using the hardware solution. It will be support the more processed memory data. And if you want to, if the ASIC will not support it, you can choose the software solution based on the ASIC capability.
Yeah, I understand that, but user want the control on that. I don't want internally to choose, based on the hardware capability. I want the user level control as well. Even if the hardware is
that's-
supported,
okay.
I want it whenever I require, right? I don't want,
Okay.
the internal decision.
Okay, that's a good question. But
We just need one user control. That's all. In the Yang, right?
yeah, it's a good suggestion. I will update it. Yes.
And I don't see a interval where the counters are updated in the counter. How frequent the you said it's covered later, right? Can you share which field is used to or which configuration controls it? At what interval that counter DB gets updated by the callbacks?
This month,
喂，你好，command line。
yeah. Do you want to see this?
Okay, which one?
Okay.
我是在这个。
Yes. For the transmit info and the status info, you can configure it for the session sender using this command lines.
No. I'm not talking about this. In the flow, in the hardware mode, you said that there will be callbacks issued to SINC-D, correct? From the SAI. At what intervals will that be issued to the SINC-D?
Do you want to see the flow diagrams?
Yeah, can you please go back?
This picture?
No, not the diagram before with the hardware solution. The topmost diagram, which had hardware software.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes,
So
yes.
here you have the SAI ASIC driver to SINC-D, right? Statistics, jitter, pair, TX packet count, RX packet count. SAI driver updates the SINC-D container using a callback, correct?
Okay, let me think.
What is the frequency of that update?
Transmit. Do you mean the transmit interval from this picture?
Sorry, your question is the frequency about how the SIG-D container send the latency, jet, and packet loss, all the parameters to counter DB.
Yes.
这地方写了。There's no interval when the SIG-D container get all the necessary.
So when will it get? That's again my question. When will SAI update the SIG-D container with the callback?
The global procedure is we have the frequency about the hardware to report the measurement data to the SIG-D container that we have expanded. It's the statistic interval that is possible to configure. When the SIG-D container get all necessary data, it send it or write it directly to the counter DB. There's no interval, just write it immediately.
So in that case, the frequency of update will be very high, right? From the hardware ASIC hardware to the SAI driver to ASIC, it will be much more frequent given the other intervals are in milliseconds, correct?
No. For the it will be right to the counter DB used by the static interval. It will be not frequently.
So statistics interval is like 60 milliseconds, correct? So what is the default statistics interval? 60 milliseconds, correct?
I think the default value is 100 milliseconds.
Okay. So for every 100 milliseconds, you will have callback from ASIC to SAI, and then SAI will update SyncD, which will update CounterDB. This will happen every 100 seconds, right?
Yes, that is right.
And if you want to reduce the interval, what is the, like if I want to make it 1 second, how will I do it? Change the statistic interval?
I think we need to change the range of the statistic interval. 那个分完是多少？ statistic interval.
Because I think this may be too frequent and it may cause other processing by SyncD to have impact.
Good suggestion, but we have not defined the range for the status interval, so we will
Okay.
be specific.
So today we see most of the counters are start at 1 second to 10 second. If you have it less than it, I'm not sure if it will have some problem with the processing of other things by SyncD. So I would say please define an interval and then make sure it's configurable by the user.
So you mean the 100 millisecond will bring too much pressure on the hardware? So you prefer we reduce the what you say the notification
We
the
can-
interval?
Yeah, or you can kind of have a bulk notification at the side. You can combine like 10 like 10 counters and then send us some bulk notification every
Oh, I
1
see.
second, something like that. I prefer that way. So
Okay, I
either it
understand.
should be yeah.
I think we will put a wide range for the interval.
Okay.
In case,
Yes,
yes.
yes. Any questions? Okay. Okay, that's all. That's all of the TYF letter HLD documents. Thank you.
Oh, we
again.
need a reviewer for this. I mean, for this feature. So, is anyone want to be the volunteer and contribute to this feature? Okay, so Xiaohong, I'm not sure. Do you have any collaborators from your side? Maybe we can add someone from if you know someone, we can add them to add a reviewer for this HLD.
Currently, we don't have any collaboration. So anyway, we'll try to check.
Okay. Okay, I think yeah, if anyone want to be the reviewer, so let me know, or just leave your GitHub ID in the HLD PR. So I will grant you as a reviewer. Okay, thank you, folks. I think we are done for today's meeting.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for everyone for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.